Well, thank you, Linda. I belong to a group called Meeting of the Minds, and I've written down about 5 topics now that we're going to be talking about in our group. That was wonderful and thought-provoking, just what we needed, I think. So now, let's welcome Dianne Owens, and she's in California. So some time ago, I started checking into the AAUW website for the state of California, and I started getting their newsletters. So I was impressed with their way of encouraging members and their enthusiasm. Now, Dianne was the state president, so I made it my business to get acquainted with her and glean from her expertise. I don't have time here to tell you all about her accomplishments. That would just about take a half hour or so. So that is why it's posted on our website. I can't believe we're both you, Dianne, and also Linda. You find time to do all those activities. But anyway, let us now listen and learn some more about how our Colorado branches can design and develop. And what Dianne's going to talk to us about is be bold, be brave, be brilliant. Okay, Dianne?
Well, good morning, everybody. What a great speaker Linda was. I really enjoyed her presentation. And it's almost like she knew what I was going to talk about. So that's kind of fun. So thank you so much for inviting me to come. I was inspired by Linda, and I'm hoping that maybe I can continue to inspire you as she did. It was really great. So let's begin with talking about, see if I can move my screen here. Okay, the first thing, this was my theme for my 2 years as the president of California. Be bold, brave, and brilliant. And I knew there were things I wanted to change so that we could become more relevant and that we could become more well-known in California. What I didn't know is that COVID would change some of that, and some of it in an okay way, actually. COVID, I was a president for 2 years who never met in person some of her board. We always had to meet on Zoom. So anyway, we had big plans, or I did anyway. I had big plans for doing a lot of changes. And turns out we were able to do them, some of it thanks to COVID. We were able to do that. So I didn't know today how we were going to do the question and answer period, and I'm going to be sure I don't talk too long so we have time to do some of that. But I want you to be sure to have some paper by your desk or by your kitchen sink or wherever, or your kitchen table, wherever you're listening and viewing this. But you can put it in the chat, not in the chat, but in the Q&A. Put your questions in the Q&A. And I'm hoping that you'll have some other thoughts about things. And don't be too, too offset by the fact that California is kind of big. We have 118 branches. We have over 9,000. We had 9,500 last year members. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that, how we've lost members just like everybody else has. And so we're going to talk about membership and leadership. And in California in 2019, we had 11,000 members. And I've been a member of AUW in California since the early 70s. So we used to be much bigger than that. So we've lost members just like everybody else across the country. And we have trouble finding people that will be presidents of the branch and lead us. And so we've got to work on that too. So anyway, we had 11,014 members in 2019. And in 2022, on February 1, we had 9,157. So we have lost members just like everybody. And we've lost branches too. So anyway, some of the things I want to talk today about our websites, our social media, and just about membership and what we're doing. So we began see if I can move this again. I wanted to be sure that we remembered our AUW mission, and Linda did that well too. So to advance gender equity for women and girls through research, education, and advocacy. And of course, we've dropped the thing about the money, about the philanthropy. We've dropped that part. So it's gender equity for women and girls. And AUW California's mission statement is that we facilitate California branches in meeting the vision and mission of AUW by providing programs, education, and resources. So in 2020 to 2022, while I was president, we decided we were going to concentrate on marketing and membership. So the first thing we did is we hired a marketing firm. We put out a request for proposal to help us gain more visibility in California and also gain more members. And we had 3 responses to our request for proposal. And we chose a neighboring in Santa Barbara, a marketing firm from Santa Barbara, California. And I live just about 50 miles north of Santa Barbara. So that was really fun. And I knew one of the leaders of that, one of the co-owners of that marketing firm. So we hired a marketing firm, and you know, COVID actually gave us the money to do that because we couldn't meet in person. We had a little extra money. So I was able to convince the board that good use of that money would be to hire a marketing firm. So the marketing firm held focus groups, held 4 of them actually, with our members to just see how they felt about this. So we asked members from all over our state to come together for a focus group. And we got enough members to volunteer to do that. It took about an hour, hour and a half or so. And they gave our marketing consultant the idea, you know, what they thought. Why did they think we have trouble becoming known? Why did we have trouble gaining new members? And then after the focus group, we did a focus group with people that weren't members to find out what they thought about AUW and what would make them want to join. And it turns out it wasn't the money. It wasn't the dues for anything like that, but it was like Linda was talking about. These were women that were between 25 and 40, and our marketing consultant did that for us. And we found out what they wanted really was advocacy. And they didn't like the word public policy necessarily. They just wanted to be out there, social justice, they wanted to call it, like Linda said, right? So anyway, we learned a lot from them, from the marketing company, and we decided that it would be our M&Ms. So it was our M&Ms a year and a half because it took us a while to do the focus groups and all of that. So the marketing and membership, we decided that there were 2 groups we wanted to talk about. One was the working age people. One was the retirement age people, because often when people are working really hard and they have young families, they're not ready to join. But then when they get around retirement age, they think, gee, what am I going to do now? What should I do? And so that's another group we wanted to target. So we targeted the working age recruitment and the retirement age recruitment. And we also thought about other groups, universities, and other groups that we could collaborate with. And so we worked a little on that. That was a little more challenging because so many universities were meeting via Zoom, and they weren't on campus. And then we worked also on other organizations. And social media, we knew was very important, and our marketing consultant knew that was very important. So those were the things that we thought about that we could do. So we developed a persona for each one of these groups, the working age and also the recruitment age. And we knew that Face Group was beginning to be an older person type social media, and that we needed to do more with appropriate buzzwords, and not just the same message on Face Group and on Twitter and on Instagram, and LinkedIn is another one. So we decided those were all very important. So what should we do about that? So what we did, we decided that we would, with the marketing, we'd say we'd look for other organizations, of course, and we weren't so successful with that. But here's our social media: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and also Twitter. So we did, my assistant, who is the president now, is this great tech person with a great creative mind. And so she is able to put together, with help a little bit, but of course from the communications group, but she put together training for branches and for members on how to use social media. And she had 2 sessions, how to, get started, and then how to develop it. And LinkedIn, of course, supports both working age and retirement age. So we wanted to be sure we did that. So what we did is we hired an intern. We found a university that had an internship and in their senior year, and we ended up hiring her, actually paying her to, and she's still working with us. And what she does is she develops messages for all these different groups, because we know the same people that use Facebook probably don't use Instagram. So we decided that we would, and remember, we had a little extra money, so we hired an intern to do that. And I think I forgot to tell you, don't be scared by all the things that we do in California, because we have more branches, we have more members than other states, but you can get ideas that you can do with your membership from what we do. You might not be able to do everything, but you can get an idea how you can do something. So I want you to remember that as we're going through this. So the one thing that I want you to think about is having a project like Speech Trek. And I don't know if any of you have tried this yet, but it's really, fairly easy. Before COVID, we had probably about 20 branches, and that's out of the 125 we had at the time, that participated in Speech Trek. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. I think I need to jump back a slide here. Speech Trek, we have found, really promotes membership. Because we're contacting schools, because this is a program for high school boys and girls. And so that increases our visibility, the branch visibility, as well as the state. And it showcases our mission, because we always choose topics that relate to our public policy agenda. And it develops community relationships, and the community talks about it. We invite the community to come. And we still do when we do it with COVID. It had to do it by Zoom, but before that, we used to invite them to come to hear these amazing young people speak. So it introduces them to AUW. So here's what we had in 21-22. Here's the topic that we announced in April. And then we had the speech contest at our annual event. But the topic was, has the U.S. lived up to its pledge of liberty and justice for all, requiring the study of diversity, equity, and inclusion in a high school setting, help ensure liberty and justice for all. So that was our topic. We go through 2 levels of listening to these topics, listening to the speakers, and choose the top 3, and they come to our what used to be called our convention is now called our annual event. So our 22-23 topic, which was announced at our April annual event, is this: to guarantee equality, individual rights, and social justice for a diverse and inclusive society, AUW California advocates the protection and expansion of voting rights. So how can communities and citizens of all ages help protect and expand voting rights? So we'll be, everybody is getting ready now to sign their memorandum of understanding with the state for the schools and the for branches that will participate in this. And we will then highlight the top 3 at our annual event and choose the winner. And we do have cash prizes, pretty substantial cash prizes, actually. So think about Speech Trek. That's one of the projects that we have. We have a program director who does that. And if you have any questions about Speech Trek, be sure to let me know and I can send you material, because it's really, really an interesting program. And I think, you know, everybody has 2 fears. And the second fear is the fear of dying. And the first fear is the fear of public speaking. So if we can entice these young people to speak publicly and write the speech and then carry through with it, it's really amazing. And it's very helpful for them. The other state project that we have is our Tech Trek camps. And during COVID, we had one year that was dark, pretty much. We had one virtual camp that year. And then last year, we were still dark. And I want to say dark because we couldn't go to campuses and have our Tech Trek girls come. We had just a virtual camp. And I wanted to show you the summary of that virtual camp, which was in summer of 2021. We had 3 weeks of virtual camp, and we had 624 campers come for over those 3 weeks. That there were 3, it was repeated. So there were 3 weeks of the same camp, and we had 624 campers come, which was, I think, really great. But it shows that you can do something successful over Zoom. So we had 229 volunteers, and because of being virtual, we had adult supervision in every room. You know, we had all these rooms open with doing projects. And it took about 10,000 hours to prepare for this. So there was much time spent on that. And we had a single core class. We had Qualcomm's Think a Bit wearable tech for all the students. And that was amazing. They had to design a hat or design a vest or design something they could wear. And it was amazing what they did. And we had workshops. We had 12 90-minute workshops offered. 4 were mandatory and 8 were optional. And 4% of the campers achieved super STEMinist status by attending everything. And then we had a daily inspiration hour where professionals from STEM fields from all over the world, actually, not all over the world, but you know, they weren't all in California. And so that was fun. I remember watching one of the inspirational speakers come, and she was from Virginia, and she was so good. It was really, really fun to watch her. So virtual camp and I know you've done in your branches, because I've read your websites. I know you've done a lot of STEM work, but maybe think about a camp at a university. Think about that. So then what we did in 2022, we formed a Tech Trek of the Future task force, because Tech Trek began in California in 1998. And we wanted to see what we might do that was new and would change it up a little bit. So this year we had 6 in-person camps and that was at 5 campuses. And then, because we had 2 camps in Santa Barbara. We always have 2 camps every summer at Santa Barbara. This year we weren't able to use Stanford. They had a lot of things they needed to do with their students, and they also had some other things going on. So we didn't have Stanford 2 camps, and we didn't have San Diego, which was our 3rd camp that we didn't have this year. But usually we would have 9 in-person camps. We had to do a lot of COVID protocol. We had to do a lot of things that we won't have to do next year. Maybe, huh? Who knows? Who knows? But we also had 2 virtual camps in 2022, and we had 89 students at each of those camps. So we had 457 campers in person, and we had nearly 180 at our 2 virtual camps. And we're going to do, in California, we're going to do a virtual camp, 1 or 2 sessions every year, because there seems to be a really need for that. We have some parents, especially this summer, we had a lot of parents who did not want to send their child to camp because of COVID. And so the branches helped them sign up for virtual camps. This takes a lot of woman power. Usually it's women, a lot of woman power to put on all these camps, because and so our branch coordinators are really stretched. We had 94 branches out of our 119 participate in this. It's a great membership, actually, type of activity, because we have people join simply because they believe in helping these girls going into 8th grade become interested in STEM projects and in the STEM field. We also introduced campsite software this summer. And so we had most of our activities were electronic. Parents had to do a lot of electronic work to give us information about their students. The branches had to do a lot of electronic work to give us information on the parents and the students. So we'll be fully operational next year. But this was a big endeavor, actually, to get away from all that paper. We had all that paper going back and forth. So we really worked on that. So anyway, I want to encourage you also to think maybe 1 camp you could do in Colorado. You've got a lot of possibilities there. And our public policy, of course, we have I know you do a lot of public policy too. We actually are able to hire a firm in Sacramento to help us with our public policy. Amazing group of women. Well, it's 2 women and a man, but the woman is the owner of this advocacy firm, and she's our advocate in Sacramento. And we usually have 2 people work on our public policy on the board. We have a co-chair, a chair, and a co-chair. And then we did a lobby day the first year I was president. And then we did a lobby week the second year. And the new president and the same public policy chair are going to have 2 days this year. We also tried everybody on the board, every committee that we had tried to help us in some way. It was pretty easy, actually, to help us with our M&Ms project, our membership, and our marketing endeavor. So the public policy group established a 1-minute activist pilot on campuses to attract students. Hasn't been really that successful because we didn't get the support from the university to go kind of full bore on this. So we're still not giving it up, but it's something that was a little harder to do. We were just going to do a pilot on 3 campuses, and it was a little harder to do than we thought it would be. But I know you do a lot of public policy work yourself. And we also have a branch activity of the year to promote mission-based programs that can be replicated. We used to have give just maybe to 1 or 2 branches, we would give them money to start a project which might become a state project. And then we decided, let's take it down to the branch level. Promote a branch mission-based programs that can be replicated by other branches easily. And we have small cash awards for these, not $500 like the others were, but a smaller. But we've attracted a lot of branches to do this, to think. And we had some Zoom ones that won this year that were about Roe versus Wade and all that. And we had some that concentrated on different activities, different careers for women. So we had I think about 12 branches apply to be part of this, and we awarded 3 this year, 3 cash awards. So that was a way to help the branches think, does this program that we had, does that apply to mission-based programs, which is what we're really trying to promote, and that is helping us a lot. And of course, we do a lot of AUW fund projects. We have 47 fellows and grant recipients studying in California this year, and AUW awarded $6 million, which you probably all know. So we are going to hold 4 fund events, and we'll probably get close to 40. We're going to do it by Zoom, so we'll probably get about 47, well, maybe 45, because sometimes they have a little bit of trouble on a certain weekend, being here. And we do it all by Zoom, and we can then get our international fellows who haven't gotten to the United States yet, or we heard from a woman in Poland last year. We've had people from Africa on, it's amazing. So we'll probably keep these on Zoom, and we record them, by the way. So if you're ever interested, go to our website, and up in the very top, and very small letters, I probably should have put a slide in here that you just check webinars, and you can watch our webinars, which we started in 2020. And some of them are really good. And you can watch from 2021, and you're going to be able to watch from 2022, because we're going to keep doing our webinars and inviting people to come in to view them. So that, I hope I've given you some ideas for some things that you can do to stimulate your branch, get new members, and have some fun. And so now I will open it up to questions, and I'll ask Susan to help me with those.
Thanks, Diane. I haven't got any new ones up there yet. Are you feeling like in the state that you are actively trying to, oh goodness, did your dog eat your homework?
Right. I'm going to get out of this.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Okay.
I was thinking that one of the things we're looking at in our state is that we have some reduced membership, of course, and so we're actively trying to promote that. Do you do anything special simply to get new members other than these larger projects that you do?
Well, yes, I know. I forgot to tell you. Let me see how can I get out of this screen? I need to leave it. Okay. Wow.
And click it off over in the right-hand corner?
There. Yeah, right.
Or you could stop sharing. You could just stop sharing.
Yeah, and I wasn't getting to that screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stop sharing.
Just hit share content and it'll go away, I think. There you go.
Yep. But I need to, yeah, and then I just need to get out of here.
Okay, I think you're good. We're seeing you. Just
Are you?
your-
Okay.
You're good. You're all good.
Okay, good. Thank you, Susan.
You bet.
Okay, well, what we did decide we would do some work with the working age member, trying to encourage younger women to, and so we did have some Zoom webinars
Okay.
or programs where we invited people that were entrepreneurs to come and talk about how they started their business and how they became successful in their businesses. And this was kind of at the time we were hiring our new intern to work on social media. And we
Right.
found out that we really did need her because we couldn't get word out to that audience. We didn't get enough word out to that audience to join us for those. So we did about 3 of them. And then we decided that we would switch and work more with the retirement age people. Yeah, right. And I think if we tried it again, once we get our social media campaign really set, that we could be more successful with that. So I don't think we'll give it up, but for now, we're just concentrating on the retirement.
I appreciate that because that was going to be my next question. How did you get in touch with the potential members? And you're saying it's going to be this social media vehicle, the vehicle, right?
Yeah. Because they're not reading, they're not coming to our website.
No.
They're not reading our newsletters. They're not reading about all the wonderful things we're doing.
Right.
And they don't know about AUW. They really don't. But if they see something on social media that interests them because it's so action oriented or that kind of thing, then I think they're more likely to maybe join us. So we're going to work on that.
I appreciate that because that is a key element that all of us are realizing that most of us who are older may not be on social media. And so if you're trying to reach retirement age people, we're actually able to kind of connect with those folks more naturally out in community groups and things, whereas we are not able to do it through social media if we're not on the social media. So I was wondering if there was any thoughts you had about how your social media plans, you're going to have new kind of a different message for each group and a new advocate or avatar, whatever you want to call it, the person who represents that group. If you could share one of those specifics about, say, one that you're going to do on Twitter or Instagram. I don't know if you have that detail with you, but I would appreciate knowing how do you go about targeting a different generation through a social media platform.
And I don't have any of those in front of me, but they're going to be all different because the intern is going to write a different message for each one of those platforms.
Will it be focusing on an event that you will be inviting them to?
It could be an event or just something happening in Sacramento, something happening with reproductive rights that will get them interested in that.
But some action-oriented thing that they can do and follow through on.
Right, it's got to be action-oriented.
Dianne, if you could give us an ability in Colorado to see the kinds of things that you come up with, maybe they're not in operation yet. Boy, I'd love to see one of these kind of communication targets, how it works. Is that something you could share with us in some way?
Yes, I can send you or Joan, both of you.
Yeah.
I can, and as soon as we get, we are working on it and doing it in a small way right now. It's just I don't have any way to send those to you, but I will. I will, because I think that's the key for all of us.
I do. I've really latched onto that as well. And we've heard this message before that social media is the vehicle for us to go out to other diverse groups. And I tell you what, not being a social media expert, I don't get how that works. So if you could share with us, I feel like it would move us in the direction of being able to do that here in Colorado as well. So.
Oh, sure. Sure, absolutely.
That's great. One of the questions that came through from Linda Newell says, is there a way to do some kind of a survey on social media? Is that a thing that people would respond to? Is there some way of getting information from people via a survey?
Yeah, I think there is a way, because that's what our marketing consultant did to find out what this target group that we were trying to attract, we were trying to figure out what they're thinking, what are they interested in? So there is a way to do that.
Perfect. That's great to know. I do have some questions coming in, Dianne. They're coming in fast and furious. So one of our, Mary Korich, would like to know how you motivate AAUDO members to help out and participate in some of the activities that you've mentioned, both the branch activities and the public policy activities. Do you have any specific ways that encourages people to help out and participate?
Well, our branch leaders get, we call it board to board every month. So they get that publication every month, and they, and we encourage, our branch leaders. Of course, first you have to get branch leaders, remember?
Yes, that's true. There is that part. There is
that part. So you get branch leaders to read, and we have all of our chairs write a short column every month in there about what's happening, what's coming up, and that. And so, you have to encourage volunteers to volunteer, right?
True. That's true.
Treat them with respect, and you have to thank them and thank them and thank them, right? Because, and it gives small awards out once in a while and that kind of thing. So not only do you have to have mission-based programs that attract your community to come, your members to come, and now we could do that via Zoom, but now we're meeting in person more, so that helps. But you just have to, and then we have California Connection, which I think Joan gets, but not everybody in Colorado gets it. But that's our connection to all of our members.
Yep.
So, and you have something called Colorado Connection, I think. Anyway,
we have Connect. Yeah, which is a new
California or Colorado Connect. So it's just it's just getting, and we send emails out to all members sometimes if something special is coming up that we want them to know, that kind of happens in between board to board and California Connection. And we have and we're, one thing that the new president is going to do, who was my assistant, they're going to have a town hall and invite all branch members to come to this town hall.
Okay.
It'll be by Zoom. But see, that's the great thing about Zoom, actually.
Yeah.
And I always tell branch leaders, you've got to be enthusiastic. And if you aren't enthusiastic when you say, I'll be the president, fake it until you make it, because people have to see your enthusiasm before they will become enthusiastic, right?
That's an old time saying, isn't it? Fake it.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I appreciate those. And what I hear you saying is that it comes down to communication. The more ways that you can communicate, you can get the message out. We do have a couple questions about how is California linking with National's goals and mission. Do you feel that you are right on track with how we relate to the national mission and stuff? What's your sense of the way California responds to National's initiatives?
Yeah, that's a good question. We do call it a success plan. It's actually a strategic plan. So it follows AUW's strategic plan, their latest strategic plan. We call it the success plan just to be a little different,
A little different, but that's how
we do it. And so each committee member, each committee chair, once we elect the board, they choose which committee they're going to be on, or they're asked to be on a certain committee and be the chair. And then those committees meet every month, and then they have goals. that are tracked every month when the board, now our board meets every month, not 4 times a year like we used to. Remember I told you some things had to be changed? That was the part of the be bold, be brave, be brilliant.
Yeah.
And so we meet every month. Sometimes it's not a whole, a meeting, a called meeting with everybody has to be there or else, but it is a time to connect. Because what was happening before, we were only meeting 4 times a year. And what happened in between, people kind of lost interest. But we found that if we met for an hour or an hour and a half every month, whether there was a meeting or not, we learned what everybody was doing, kept everybody on track. So,
Okay.
and then we connect with that success plan 4 times a year, that strategic plan, to see how everybody's, because they set a goal, they say when they're going to complete it, and we check that every month, every quarter.
And I'm sorry, when you said we meet every month, are you talking about the state board?
State board.
Okay.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
meeting every
So
month is a key element of keeping you on track.
Exactly.
it.
And keeping the enthusiasm up of the board, because the
Okay.
board has to be enthusiastic about things, and to follow through and to encourage the branches, because I don't know if you have IBCs. Do you have IBCs in
We do.
Colorado?
Yes, we
Okay.
do.
We use IBCs, and we used to call them districts, and then IBCs, we have 30 some branches that don't have belong to an IBC, but the others belong to an IBC in Los Angeles, San Diego,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
San Francisco.
that's your interbranch councils are instrumental in having your branches on track together as well.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm going to go to redirect a little bit. We have an attendee who'd like to know a little bit more about how you get the schools involved in your speech trek. How do you organize high schools, I'm assuming, in working with you on the speech trek?
Well, we contact either sometimes there isn't a speech class anymore at the high schools, but there's some kind of course that, matches up with that. So we actually start meeting we let the school board know, we let the superintendent of schools know that what we're doing, and we don't have to do that every year now because we do it. The branches that participate in this know that, and then we meet with the superintendent at each school and find out which teacher they would recommend we meet with, and then from there we also get teachers to join that hadn't thought about joining before. Right,
yeah.
right.
There's your
that helps.
That's your membership.
That's the membership part of it. Right.
Yeah.
And we get the community, all the parents to come. And you know what happens sometimes? Our Tech Trek girls, who we, start with, and they're just finished 7th grade, going into 8th grade, then they'll join Speech Trek. And we have some wonderful success stories of these girls going on to MIT and, just doing wonderful, wonderful things. So it kind of starts young. And then we move up to the schools. But we have in Lompoc-Vandenberg, the branch that I belong to, we also include the St. Ynez Valley, and she was one of our state winners one year, right? So we include not only our school district, but we reach out to the St. Ynez Valley, Solvang, and Buellton.
Sure. How well I remember. Okay, well.
Yeah, you're the one that remembers. Nobody else probably on the call remembers all that.
Well, I lived in Santa Maria for a few years, so I remember those branches. So
Great.
we're, let's see, I had one more question I wanted to get to before I stopped reading the Q&A. We've got the national, a little more about the schools. Oh, and I think, Eve, when you were asking about the tech treks, that the age of the participants is what, 13, 14?
Yes, 13
grade?
or 14.
13 or 14.
Because they're going into 8th grade.
Okay. Now, here's a question from Mary, second one. Mary, an IBC is an interbranch council. So we do have an interbranch council here in the state of Colorado, but we don't have districts. So we only have one. And they get together on a monthly basis. So that's an answer to Mary's question. But Mary's other question was, are there other groups that you collaborate with or do joint projects with to achieve your goals and your mission goals in the state of Colorado, California? One of the things we're looking to do is sort of coalitions or collaboration with other groups. Are there any particular groups that kind of join together with AAUW that you would recommend or suggest?
Well, the only two that we really belong to and that we've really done a lot of work with are in Sacramento. So it's about our public policy.
Okay.
And so, but I think there a lot of branches do join with the League of Women Voters to do certain activities. For instance, their League of Women Voters is pretty well known for doing the forums for public office.
Yep. Right.
And so in Lompoc, we have a league over in Santa Maria where you used to live, but we do not join with them because the Santa Maria branch does to do forums, public forums. But we do our own in Lompoc Vandenberg, and we've done them since 1964.
Wow, Dave, that is,
Yeah.
we have quite a bit of a connection with the league as well. And you're right, public policy then has coalitions in Denver with regard to activities in Congress, or not Congress, but in our state house.
In your state,
Yeah.
so that they would be good to join with, because there are a lot of reproductive rights organizations we belong to in Sacramento. We are sponsoring our own bill this year with the help of our advocate and with the help of other organizations that we belong to up there. But that's the best we've done so far. We could do more. We could do more, right?
Yeah, we're also connected with reproductive rights. So we have an active public policy group, as you said before. Okay, like I had a question about that, but I think any thoughts about with connecting with universities? Now I notice you use the university connections with the Tech Trek, and do you have every branch has a relationship with some kind of a educational institution, a college or university? Do you find that that's fairly regularly set up?
Yeah, it's fairly regular. Yeah, set up. Some counties or some branches aren't close to a university or a college, a community college, but the community colleges have been great to join, to get them to join AUW. And then you have representatives that you can work with. For instance, Santa Maria and Lompoc Vandenberg share Allen Hancock Community College. And so Santa Maria works with the campus in Santa Maria, and Lompoc Vandenberg works with the one in Lompoc, which is a few miles from my house, actually.
That's
right. So
I taught at Allen Hancock, so I definitely know that.
there you go. Right. Well, they have a campus. Well, maybe they had that campus when you were here on Lompoc, right. So we do a lot of work with them. Go to their bow wow days, and see other branches do the same thing. But there are a few branches. We have a lot of colleges and universities that belong to AUW, and so we work with the student groups there sometimes as much as we can, if that's possible. In fact, Santa Barbara, Goleta Valley works with UCSB. UC Santa Barbara works with their student group, and we get them to come to some meetings that we have and that kind of thing, interbranch meetings. So that's fun. Okay, your mic is off.
Hit it when I'm hitting the Q&A button. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
The one I wanted to mention, we do have a question from our one of our lobby leaders here, and we do have a connection with Reproductive Rights Coalition as well. What is the bill that you are sponsoring?
The bill that we're going to sponsor this year is about Title IX. And we're also in a coalition with some reproductive rights. Of course, California has opened up the whole state for women to come, and so we're working on some bills with them. But the one that we're sponsoring is on Title IX, and I haven't read it yet. It's being just being developed, but that's kind of fun.
Yes. So Betty, would you like to hear more about that one? You could put it in the Q&A if you do. Okay, well, we're kind of getting up to 11 o'clock. I feel like we're needing to kind of wrap up this so we can also have our other speakers. Dianne, anything you'd like to say as a last hurrah about be bold and be brave and be brilliant?
Well, don't be afraid to change things. Remember, Linda said we're in this upheaval, right? Things are changing, so we've got to change. So be bold. And sometimes it doesn't seem like maybe we should rock the boat, but rock the boat, be brave, rock the boat. And we know everybody's brilliant or they wouldn't belong to AUW, right? So, so just have fun. And, AUW is a wonderful organization and we don't want it to diminish. We'll always have our endowments. They'll live on forever. But we've got to have new members that come behind us to carry on. So, thank you, Colorado, for inviting me to come and say a few words, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And if we have any more questions, I'll make a note of them. But I think that you've done a good job of kind of fielding a wide range of questions people had. So thank you for your presence and sharing with us what, when I was a kid here in Denver, as I'm a native Denverite, and we thought that whatever was happening in California. So a lot of us kind of went out there to try to find it out, but we always came back. And now we're ready to just encourage and increase our Colorado profile.
Well, that's great. That is great. And if you have any other questions, you know where to find me.
I do. Thank you,
Okay.
Dianne. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Joan, I think you're up next.